And now somebody's going to be a blessing to us. Eileen's going to come and share some things with us. I think this is almost too high for her, but I want to just tell you something while she comes and gets settled. When we first got to know Eileen a little bit, we found out about Eileen's cycling. Melvin asked her if she happened to know Beryl Burton. Now, do some of you remember Beryl Burton? She was a very famous woman cyclist, one of our earliest greats, and she came from round here. And Morley. She came from Morley, and Eileen's answer to Melvin was, "Knew her. I used to win some things till she came along." I love it. Eileen, you were absolutely a great and enthusiastic cyclist, weren't you?
I was.
How did it all start?
Well, as a child, I really wanted the freedom, and as I got older, I really wandered around on my bike, and then I found out there was a club in Rodley, so I joined the Rodley Road Club, and I just raced for them once.
And isn't that pictures of the first picture, the one of Eileen on her own? Is that up? That's her racing for the Rodley Road Club, wasn't it?
It was the first time I raced, ever.
And it was in the paper, wasn't it?
It was in the paper. My father had said I hadn't to race because it was dangerous, so I did.
And then he saw it in the paper.
And then he saw it in the paper. Yeah. And after that, I was all right riding.
Yeah. You did all right. Okay. I understand, though, that the Rodley Road Club closed soon after you joined it.
It was the national service at that time. Men were called up between 18 and 21, and everybody in the club, apart from me and another girl, were in that age group. So we finished up with 2 women, nothing else, so we had to give up. And she and I wandered around in the Dales on our own, and then we bumped into another group, Middleton Road Club, and said they asked us to join them because they wanted me to race with them, so I did.
And where did you used to cycle out to race?
Weatherby. About 7 o'clock in the morning we started. We'd get going before the traffic got going. So I was riding in time trials, 15 to 25 mile, maybe sometimes 50. And I used to get there for 7 o'clock in the morning to Weatherby, ride out.
It's extraordinary, isn't it, when you...
It is.
So what ended you racing?
Pardon?
What ended you racing?
Well, I was just racing in a lovely day, a warm, sunny day, and I thought, really, I could be up the Dales, just doing what I wanted. So I just gave up after that. I just had enough. So I started doing touring in a big way.
Didn't you? You joined with a group, didn't you? What are they called?
The Middleton Road Club.
But what about the tag name, wasn't it?
Pardon?
The Vagabonds.
Well, that was a group that I sort of took. We went round together, and we were called the Vagabonds. It was quite a good group, actually.
You see the link, don't you, the Vagabonds? Yeah, you do, don't you? And at some point in all this activity, you met your much like Dick and got married. And tell us what you wore to go away on your honeymoon.
The racing gear. we went to Ingleton, which is on the Lancashire border. So we cycled there.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? On your faith journey for a moment, Eileen, I believe that in those days you joined a very special and somewhat different group of Christians too.
The group that I was with, the Vagabonds, a couple of them were Quakers, so we were persuaded to join with them. So we went to the Quaker meeting regularly. We went out maybe to Skipton, just on our bikes, and joined in with their groups. And well, up in the Dales, we went to quite a lot of Quaker meetings for a long, long time.
What did you get out of them, Eileen?
I like the peace. We just sat there for an hour, just saying nothing unless you wanted to speak. You just sat there and just contemplated, really, on things, God, and I enjoyed it.
Quite a good tradition, isn't it?
But unfortunately, they took pacifism a bit too far for my liking.
You couldn't not defend your family, could you?
No, they said that if anybody attacked anybody, they just let them do it, which I didn't agree with at all.
No, we have different ideas.
I would fight tooth and nail for my family.
In this other photograph, though, that's your daughter, Janet. A lot of you know Janet. Where were you in this picture?
Tasmania. It was
just round the corner. Just round the corner.
It was a local paper that took a photograph of us because we were going round the island. So we went to...
You went to lots of different countries, didn't you?
We toured all over Western Europe and Australia, New Zealand, Canada and Scandinavia.
I think it was 15 countries in all when we added them up.
Something like that.
You'd cycled through. It's extraordinary,
and
isn't it?
And of course, I spent an awful lot of time weekending in Scotland because from here we could just get over the borders quite easily for a weekend on the bikes.
At that time, our old car wouldn't have got us across the border, never mind our legs.
We went to... The biggest ride I ever did, and I thought never to do it again, we went to Jedburgh and back in a weekend.
Yeah, that's a lot, isn't it? So, Eileen, how did you come with all this travelling all over the place? How did you come to end up here at St Wilf's?
Well, at that time, my eldest grandson, I used to look after him, and we needed a place I could go to with, took babies in, and I found that St Wilfrid's had a baby. I could go to the babies. So we went there and we met Fiona Hainsworth, who...
Big shout out to Fiona and Barn Babies.
Yeah, the Barn Babies. So it all started from the Barn Babies, and she said, well, why don't you come to church? So, of course, this is 28 years ago. So I came to church and I've been here ever since and enjoyed it too.
You also not only come to church throughout the year, but throughout the year, Eileen, who is 93 now, you don't mind me
93,
saying?
yeah.
93 now, every Friday morning, she gets the 7:10 bus in the morning, early, in winter as well as summer, ice, snow. We try and persuade not in the snow, don't we, in the ice, but and it's dark and it's wet, and she comes to church 7:10 in the morning. She comes down to church for Friday morning prayers with John and Alan and any others, Sandra. That join in. Eileen, that takes such an effort. I'm often rolling over at 7:10 and thinking, can I have another half hour? What do you get from that? Why do you come to that?
It's lovely. I just feel at one with the world. It's a marvellous feeling to get up so early and come here. I just love it. It's something I would miss terribly if I couldn't come here. I've been coming here on a Friday for many years, and as I've got older, it hasn't bothered me.
So, Eileen, when did you have to give up cycling?
In the 1980s, I think it was. When I had to give up. No, not the 1980s.
No, when you were 80.
No, sorry. When I was in the 80s, sorry, I don't know, 1980. Yeah. Yes, maybe about 20 years ago, perhaps, or maybe not quite as much as that. Maybe 15 years ago, I gave up.
I think it's a lifelong of cycling, isn't it? It's amazing.
The last one I did was I rode out for the organ, for the church organ. We were after money for the repair of it, and I went round the varying churches around here. I got quite a lot of money from them.
You cycled round, didn't you?
And I cycled around all the churches.
Yeah, last great effort. Awesome, Eileen, I think, don't you, when you do it. Another awesome fact, before we move on, when we first came to St Wilf's, and even doesn't make any difference whether you're clergy or not, you go into a new place and you think, what's going on behind this door? What are they up to here? And it was Eileen that was on the door, and she welcomed us and found us a seat. And then the next Sunday when we came back, she was looking out for us, and she gave us a seat with her. And she welcomed us, and she made it possible for us to come in and feel part of the family. So I want to thank you for that, Eileen.
Thank you.
And just realise how God can use the smallest things, both to help others and to feed our own spirit and our own soul. Thanks, Eileen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you want to? Yeah. You know, sometimes it's very easy not to see some people in our congregation, isn't it? You know, and there's all these stories behind them. We've got a different story now, and this is somebody who you know mainly from the back of church, making lots of things happen, and I'm sure that at some point or another, this person has helped all of us with a question, an answer, a fact, or something that we've needed. It's Sandra. If you come and talk to us, Sandra. She's talking this time. Isn't that gorgeous? You're a cracker. So, Sandra, it's lovely to have you. Lovely to have you at the front. So, Sandra, let's start with, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Bramley.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
So you're round here?
Yeah, and then I went to St Peter's Church.
Right.
Well, you
That's
went to
still going,
Sunday
isn't
school
it?
till you were 12, and then you were allowed in church when you were
But you were
confirmed.
12, you were allowed in.
Yeah.
Oh my word, days are different, weren't they? What were your dreams as a child? What did you...
I either wanted to be a dancer or a nurse, and I did both.
Did both? Have we got the... Is there a dancing one of you?
There was one, yeah.
Yeah, have you got the...
Yeah.
That is fabulous, isn't it? It's a wonderful picture.
Well, there's a lot you don't know about my dancing. I've never told anyone in church before, but till I had the children, I was a professional dancer.
Were you? Amazing. What
yeah.
sort of dancing did you do?
Well, we did everything. We toured with musicals and all sorts of various things, different films. And
There you are, that's something
Lots of
none of you knew. Professional dancer. Wait till the next social.
and then I stopped and,
Then you stop.
Taught.
Then you have the babies, don't you?
well, I taught dancing, and then Yorkshire Television opened, so I went to work there and was one of the choreographers for a lot of the children's theatre work.
Isn't that amazing? That is amazing. Well done, you. So apart from doing that, the thing that some of you might know is that Sandra trained and worked for many years as a nurse. What led you into it? Isn't this a lovely picture of her? Yeah.
I'd always wanted to do it, and after dancing, and you think, well, you can't dance forever, and I'd always wanted to do nursing. So once the children were a bit older, I went to work as a nursing assistant and then did my qualifications.
Oh, don't you?
I went on to district.
What was it that made you, do you think, what was the things about nursing that made you want to do it?
I don't know, because I'd always grown up with lots of people, you know, getting support from them. I supported them. Nursing's just the same. You support people in... I wanted to do district rather than hospital.
You went in knowing you wanted to do.
So after you'd done your 3 years training, then I could go out and do district.
For those of you who don't know, where were you on the district?
Well, I was on it was Leeds Western Health Authority then, and then it joined up with Leeds Health Authority. So anywhere around this area, from the centre of Leeds, Headingley, right across to Armley, Bramley, Pudsey.
Isn't it amazing when
All
you
around
think
there.
of all the people you went to see in the area you covered,
Yeah.
looking after people?
Yeah, many houses and
Yeah.
nursing homes and
Yeah.
various residential homes, because they obviously don't have nursing cover.
This is an off-the-cuff question. What do you think is the most important thing when you go into someone's home like that? What to kind of see them, to kind of know that, make them know they matter?
Well, it's just you form a one-to-one bond. Sometimes you only go in once, you know, if you're just taking a few stitches out or whatever, but we did a lot of palliative care, so you do get to know the families and the patients, and you just love them as your own, and then you went and sat in the car and cried buckets when you got
Absolutely.
outside.
Absolutely, it's that. You hold it all in, don't you?
Well, you've got to for them,
do what you've got to do, and then when you shut the car door,
that's when the tears flow,
it all comes out, don't you? Sometimes I remember talking with the spiritual support person, saying, you feel as though you are, for a moment, in so much pain, carrying so much of the pain. But that's what people need of you, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you've got to find your way in God of dealing with that, haven't you? When did you retire from nursing?
Oh, it was 2010. It's obviously when the grandchildren arrived and...
Fancy.
Yeah.
Fancy.
Unpaid childcare. So I looked after them on my days off, and then I thought, no, the nursing was changing. It was more paperwork, more computers, not so much face-to-face. And I thought, now's the time to go.
Yeah. You know when it's done, don't you? Yeah. Yeah. So we're thinking of all that joy and all that blessing that you would have given to so many people. You retired from that work, but now you're at St Wilf's. Get the link, so much work. Much of your time you're here, Sandra, and we are so enormously grateful for all that you do. Why do you do all that you do at St Wilf's, and what do you get from it?
I get a lot. I mean, obviously, like Eileen, I brought the grandchildren to Barn Babies and coffee shop again, because that was going quite well.
You're a source of a lot of problems, Fiona.
Yeah. It was John
blessings.
that got me to come back to church through coffee shop, wasn't it? And he said, why don't you come one Sunday? And one New Year's Day, I just decided, right, I'm going, and that was it. I've been practically every Sunday since.
Have you? That's amazing, isn't it?
I just get a lot out of it, because I get the support from them, and I hope I give them the support, and it gives you something to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being part of the community.
Yeah. God obviously called me to do it, and I've really enjoyed doing it.
What did your own spirituality or your own faith give you?
Well, as I say, until I was sort of like 18, 19, I went to church every week, and then various things come up against it, don't you, and you stop going. And then I'd always had the faith, prayed, but I just thought, no, I need to go back in person and get a little bit more involved. And as I said, in retirement, it's been brilliant.
It's fabulous. Well, we are so grateful. Isn't it lovely to hear Sandra from the front? Thanks, Sandra.
But I'm not the only one.
No, you're not. But no, he makes the point, not the only one. But my goodness, I would struggle to do tag without Sandra. A lot of things would struggle. And there are a lot of people who give a lot here. And that was the point that Sandra wanted to make, that being the family of God takes all of us in all sorts of different ways. It's just we've heard two different stories today. But there's one thing I just wanted to draw your attention to in both what Eileen and Sandra had to say was that if you listened, they're not heavily into religious speak, either of them, are they? There's not a lot of, overt God speak or that sort of stuff. There is just this peace, inner peace that they both talk about that actually has sustained them and sustains them for so many years. So if you're one like me and you've got the gab and you say lots of God stuff, that's okay. But if you're not, that doesn't mean you don't know God in your own heart and in your own life. God talks to us in the way that suits us, and he uses us in the way that suits the personalities he's given us. So thank you very much, you two, for what you've shared on behalf of us all. So we've been thinking throughout about this idea that if we're going to try and walk in the likeness of Jesus, then we need to follow him and copy him. And what he models to us in this story of Zacchaeus is that he spots Zacchaeus. He sees him, and I love them, like I said, that modern way of using, I see you, I've got you. I see who you are. And to me, that's what Jesus spotted Zacchaeus in the tree. And he knew he was lovable. Knew he was worthy of love. And so he said, come on down and let's talk. It doesn't actually say in the Bible that Jesus was going to his house for tea. It wasn't quite as rude as that, saying, I'm coming to your house for tea. But he said, I'm coming to your house. I want to come back. I want to have a conversation with you. And then, of course, you have this lovely bit in the story that the child put in the story. They ate all the food. They drank all the wine. They'd had a great time together. And then Jesus did a bit more of his seeing. And he said, I know what you're doing. And Zacchaeus, because of his encounter with Jesus, didn't want to be like that anymore. And not only his life was changed by Jesus seeing him, but the life of the community was changed as well, because he went and gave back what he'd taken. I mean, that takes a lot of guts, doesn't it? I mean, I needed guts this morning because I really, really felt that I'd mislaid Heather and John's photographs. And I felt absolutely awful. And the thought of, not that they'd be cross, but they'd be disappointed because I'd failed in what I'd said I'd do, which was look after their photos, their precious photos. That was hard. So how hard was it for Zacchaeus to say, I'm really sorry, here's it back, I shouldn't have done it. All because Jesus saw him. Now, I've got one thing that I'm going to invite you all to do, and I hope you will take part. We've got some little cards here, like a little business card or getting to know you card. And there's one for everybody, and it says, hello, my name is, and there's a blank for you to write your name, and I like space for you writing one thing. And then at the bottom it says, please can we say hello when we see each other in church? So, the challenge for this morning is first to fill in your name and one thing that you like. And then go and find somebody that you don't usually speak to in church. We're not in a position to all go to each other's house today. We're not in a position, all of us, to ask people back for tea or whatever. But we are in a position where we can just make the point of saying, I see you today. We don't always speak, but could we from today? So if you've got a pen, get your own pens out. There's some coming round. Can you fill your name in? And then it will require some moving around, and see if you can find somebody that you don't normally speak to or speak to very much. Is that okay? And the invitation is, can we say hello to each other when we come to church? It's a simple little invitation, but it's one way. So write on it your name, one thing you like, so you're sharing something with somebody, and then find somebody that you don't normally speak to. Thank you. That was joyous to hear, the happiness of the exchange. But I hope we keep up to it, keep saying hello, because that's what you've asked each other to do when you see each other on a Sunday. But I hope it also drives home the thought, we need to be seeing one another, looking out for each other.